Before we begin, can someone explain why shows with predominant LGBT themes have some of the most toxic fan bases? Like She-Ra, for example, and Harley Quinn to a lesser extent, and the topic of discussion, Steven Universe. You know what? I don't care. Anyways, Steven Universe. I really don't like this show. Haven't seen it in a while, and I can't be asked to watch the whole thing because...
Nigga, who cares?
Be that as it may, this particular episode and a couple of other ones remain burned into my mind because of certain plot points. Without further ado,
Let's do the job!
Steven and the Crystal Gems come back from a mission, failing to find a gem on a tropical island. He brags about how he managed to warp the gems by himself and goes to flex his skills. His first stop? The Big Donut, where Sadie and Lars are mulling through the dead hours. I can relate, I work in retail. Little aside, I cannot fucking stand Lars. He's that overused flanderization of teenagers that damn near every cartoon from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s would use. But somehow significantly worse. Me and my editor were reacting to this episode before I finished this script, and he had this to say. Max?
Okay, before I say anything, I just want it to be known that I knew nothing about the show before corporate told me about it, so this is from my first experience with the show. That being said, I would lock him in a room with Zeke Broly, throw away the key, and just have two speakers in there just blasting the name Kakarot to give him extra motivation. I would make a team called the Legion of Pettiness comprised of Zamasu, the Reverse Flash, Dio, and Lex Luthor, and have them collaborate so that every single day and every single timeline, past, present, and future, he pays for existing. I would throw it on Netflix, call it a comedy, and make billions. And remember, I knew nothing about this show before corporate told me, so how insufferable do you have to be for somebody to see you once in one episode and hate you this much?
Thank you. And if you, like Max, have never watched so much as
4 fucking seconds!
of this show, first off, good. Very, very good. And second off, I will show you exactly why he said what he did.
Sadie, I just got to sleep. Now I have to start all over.
Then don't sleep at the counter. I'm trying to work.
Why don't you not work at the counter when I'm trying to sleep?
You're always...
I'll be real. Working in retail has kind of given me some level of leeway when it comes to my coworkers horsing around. So really, I wouldn't care if my coworker fell asleep midway through a pretty much dead shift. Hell, I'm more annoyed if my shift is completely dead than if it were busy.
With that being said,
If you're going to fall asleep at work, do not A, fall asleep where any customer can see you, and more importantly, B, fall asleep in an area that I have to get to help a customer, which is just A with more steps. The fact that Lars knocks out right in the way of the donut case is either pure retardation or the purest form of not giving a damn. Either way, he looks like an idiot, and looks like even more of an idiot with his little temper tantrum right here. I want to clarify one thing, because people seem to like turning personality traits into trends. Not giving a fuck
doesn't make you cool.
The two get into an argument, and that's when Steven gets the bright idea of taking them to an island on the warp pad. The same island that still houses the gem that the Crystal Gems are looking for. I'm usually an advocate for dumb characters, though some do get on my damn nerves. I can enjoy their foolishness.
Oh wait, I can't read.
This, on the other hand... Okay, so y'all remember that scene in Regular Show where both Mordecai and Rigby were slingshotting pizza pouches all over the house? Yeah, it's like that. There's no reason for this. It's not even foolishness, it's just straight malice at this point. Also, pay close attention to this particular scene right here. It'll be very important in a bit. And now we get a rare moment where I actually agree with Lars here.
It's a beach. We live on a beach.
Yeah, I don't really understand Steven's intentions here. The three of them pretty much should be desensitized by the spectacle of a beach given where they live. And remember, this beach still has the gem roaming around it. This is the equivalent of showing a prince a castle in a different land. Not only are you showing them something they've already seen, but you also neglect to mention that this is Dracula's castle. Now, it's not like Steven doesn't tell them at all. In fact, he tells them in the very next scene.
Came here to look for a dangerous gem creature that we never found.
Lars, again, does something I agree with.
I'm gone.
Huh?
And Sadie, knowing the possible dangers of the island, tries to convince him to stay. Say what you will about Just a Robot, but he was right. These Calotte girls are straight up evil. When they return, the warp pad just disappears. How strange. Steven doesn't seem too bothered by this fact, stating that once the gems realize that he's missing, they'll come and find him. Eventually. And it's at this point where I give you all a little bit of an astronomy lesson. Homeworld exists outside of the Milky Way galaxy, which already puts its distance from Earth in the hundreds of thousands of light years on the lower end. Beach City, the city that Steven and the Gems live in, is in a fictional state called Delmarva. The state is a fusion between the state of Delaware and Maryland, and Beach City is more than likely on the eastern part given it's right next to the ocean. Garnet and Peridot were stargazing in the episode Log Date 7-15-2, and Garnet makes a remark about how the Homeworld galaxy is visible from where they are at that moment.
You can see Homeworld's galaxy from here.
The closest galaxy to us is a satellite galaxy called the Sagittarius Dwarf Galaxy, which, yes, is visible from the hemisphere Delmarva is located in, but for argument's sake, let's also include the Andromeda Galaxy. You're probably asking what this has to do with anything, and if you didn't ask, then
Kill yourself!
I'm making this point to state that despite being highly unlikely, the warp pads on Earth are capable of space travel, to an extent. If Homeworld exists in either of these two galaxies, and the Gems realize that Steven is gone, they'll have to search through a radius of, on the low end, 70,000 to high end 2.5 million light years. Anything can happen in that time. Steven tries to make light of their unsung tragedy, and Lars, being Lars, acts like an idiot. It's a damn rock, dumbass. For the time being, they try and survive, gathering food, building shelter, and trying to make the best of a shitty situation. Slowly, they all get along for the time being and enjoy the time spent together. To somewhat deviate from my original intention when recording this audio, I had stated originally that he was being an idiot, but I also agreed with him. Instead, I'm just going to state why I agree with him now. I've been on an international trip for over 2 months and hated every moment of it because I was so homesick. This right here is kind of a moment of relapse for Lars because he's also homesick. So I don't really blame him for lashing out, even if he should have already known that there are no bars on an island. Traveling isn't what it's cut out to be. Though there's a deeper problem here. While I had confirmation on when I would go home, the three of them are stranded here on the island for an indefinite amount of time. Even with the knowledge that the Gems would come for them once they realized that Steven was gone, there is no definite day on when they'll show up. Out of vulnerability, Lars embraces Sadie, to which Sadie returns the favor. But Steven, ever the cockblocker, butts in halfway through. Suddenly...
What the heck? It's a gem?
The gem has found them. Turns out, the Gems and Steven couldn't figure out where it was because it was invisible. Upon realizing the danger, Lars freaks out again. Remember when I told you to keep in mind this one scene? Also, pay close attention to this particular scene right here. It'll be very important in a bit. Well, this is why.
It's the warp pad!
Yup, your eyes aren't deceiving you. Sadie knowingly hid the warp pad from view of the others. Sadie is the reason they were trapped. Now I could end the video right here because we've already reached the point in which I wanted to discuss. This right here, this is just plain vile. I could excuse Steven and his idea to take the three of them to an island that a gem was terrorizing because Steven is an idiot. But this? No, there is no forgiveness here. She knew the impending danger when hiding the warp pad. She knew the consequences of her actions. What gets me is, when exactly was she intending on telling them all about that? How long was she willing to hide it from them? How long was she willing to keep them there? What exactly did she expect would happen? Well, I guess that answers my question because she wanted to trap Lars on the island.
I hid the warp pad. You were just gonna leave, but I knew how much you really needed this. Why don't you ever let me help you?
This is like a complex form of Stockholm Syndrome, except the person doesn't know who the captor is. And the worst part about this whole thing is, even when he's rightfully angry, he does something so stupid that it comes right back around to annoying the shit out of me. He is rightfully so angry at Sadie for doing what she did, but instead of hopping onto the warp pad and getting angry at her later, he decides to berate her in that moment. Reminder, the gem is still chasing them. Sadie pushed him down a mud pit and he gets confronted by the gem, and Sadie comes to the rescue. Something about this frame right here is familiar. I probably will make note of it later. This episode can be summed up in a common statement you've probably heard on the internet before. If the roles were reversed, he would be the bad guy. And people repeat this sentiment over and over again because it's true. Had Lars been the one to do it, it would have made headlines. And I'm not talking about in the show, I mean in real life. Anyways, that's enough of this. Hope you enjoyed the video. One more thing. People think I'm way more mad at these cartoons than I actually am. Some have even stated that I should just change the channel. For one, these are cartoons I actually enjoy watching. Well, not Steven Universe, but And two, I pirate the cartoons because I'm not partaking in modern day blockbooking. And on top of that, this is my channel, and I can talk about whatever I want to. And for the people who think I'm actually mad at these situations, no. I'm more annoyed than I am mad, because I either know or have known people like the ones I dislike so much.